I never imagined that a takeout order would be the final straw that broke the bond of my 6-year marriage. I was scheduled to be out late for a client encounter, but the work week concluded ahead of schedule, providing me with an unprecedented opportunity to surprise Lauren with meals from her favorite eatery. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I rounded the bend in the driveway and saw Zach's pickup parked there. After more than 15 years of friendship, my best friend Zach finally appeared as the herald of betrayal. As I exited the automobile, my heart pounded with treachery. I walked dreadfully and in amazement toward the house, pulled open the main door gently, attempting to hold back the flood of emotions that surged inside me. The smooth, unmistakable noises emanating from the upper floor informed me of everything, even if my mind was completely destroyed. A strange serenity took over, making my ascent up the steps feel at once natural and otherworldly. As I drew near the bedroom door, I paused for a moment, listening to the sound of each creak as it echoed the thumping of my heart. I waited a second before pulling it open, steeling myself for what I would witness. There they were, Lauren and Zach, together. Lauren locked eyes with me and said, "I feel like they belong here, in our bed, as if our house never meant anything to you." Her voice carried an air of superiority and contempt rather than remorse. Then, in a whisper, she taunted, "What are you going to do?" That little jab was enough to ignite a cold fury inside me. Zach stuttered, his attempt at an excuse lost under the shock and raw betrayal that swept over me. I couldn't let him speak another word. Without a second thought, I snatched out my phone with shaky fingers. The camera's flash highlighted the scene in quick, sharp bursts, each snap recording the destruction of our once-shared life. I took a few shots, each image a witness to the betrayal unfolding before my eyes, and with every photo taken, I felt a terrible resolution settle in my chest. I turned and walked out of that room, leaving behind not only the two of them, but also the vestiges of trust and love that had defined our marriage. As I crossed the threshold, Lauren's scream burst behind me, a mix of rage and desperation. "That's it? You're just going to walk away, you coward?" she yelled, her words echoing through the walls of our now silent home. I hesitated at the threshold, turned slowly, and allowed a tiny, cold smile to play across my lips. "No," I murmured, my voice calm and precise. "I'm just getting started." In that instant, the pain of betrayal transformed into a silent resolution. Every emotion I felt, anguish, rage, disbelief, merged into a single unbreakable commitment. I would not be the victim of this betrayal. Instead, I would reclaim my life from the debris left behind. When I stepped out into the chilly night, the photographs on my phone burned into my mind, marking the conclusion of one chapter and the beginning of another, a chapter where I held the power to rewrite my own fate. The driveway was long, filled with reflections on the fragile nature of trust and the fortitude acquired in facing the toughest realities. I clutched the steering wheel tightly, my mind rushing through plans on how to build a future from the shattered shards of my past. Every mile put distance between me and the life I once knew. Nevertheless, with each passing moment, I sensed the stirring of a new purpose. A purpose forged in the embers of treachery and tempered by the resolution to never be deceived again. I realized that the road ahead would be riddled with challenges, and that the anguish of today would resonate in the days to come. But as the night surrounded my automobile in its dark embrace, I felt a tiny, rebellious glimmer of optimism. In that spark lay the promise that sometimes, when everything falls apart, it creates the space needed to construct something stronger, something truer. I made a silent pledge with each turn of the wheels. I would rise from this torment, not broken but reborn from the absolute ashes of my old existence. After that night of horrific betrayal, I drove aimlessly in a haze of contradictory emotions. My mind raced with memories of the shattered world I once knew, and yet, amidst the turmoil, a cold, steely clarity began to take root. I checked into a shabby motel on the outskirts of town, a place with peeling wallpaper, a flickering neon, sign in the parking lot, and a solitary, creaky door that echoed my every step. In the small, barren room, the stillness was suffocating, broken only by the dull hum of a malfunctioning air conditioner and the distant sound of rain hammering at the window. I sat on the hard, dirty mattress and let my mind travel through the labyrinth of wrath, sadness, and a fresh resolution growing deep within me. The night wore on slowly, each minute stretching out as I relived the events that had shattered my trust. Lauren's voice, dripping with mockery. Zach's presence, once comforting, now a symbol of ultimate betrayal. With each passing moment, the pain morphed into something else, a passionate determination to reclaim control over my life, and finally, choose my own destiny. I held my phone close, its screen a quiet repository of the damning images I had gathered. Each snapshot was a stark reminder of the end of a world I thought I had known. In that suffocating stillness, I began to prepare my next actions with an exquisite care that startled even me. Dawn came grudgingly through heavy clouds, its weak rays slipping through my motel window as if mourning the loss of what had been. My sleep had been disrupted by an endless ringing. Groggy, I reached for my phone and saw a flood of missed calls and anxious texts. Lauren, desperate and caustic in her shifting tones. Zach, a tangle of panic and hollow pleas for explanation. Each beep and buzz fueled the silent fire of resolve inside me. They expected tears. They expected weakness. Yet, I felt none of that. Instead, I felt a steely determination. I would not be reduced to a broken man. I would become the master of the unfolding chaos. With intentional precision, I began dismantling the remnants of our shared life. I logged into our joint bank account and performed a transfer that severed the last financial tie between us. I removed Lauren as an authorized user from every credit card and froze any shared assets with the calculated efficiency of someone who had planned for this moment long ago. Every keystroke was both a final goodbye to a past that no longer held meaning and a bold declaration of independence. The motel room seemed to shrink around me as I took each necessary step, the thin curtains and aged carpet bearing silent witness to my metamorphosis. The chill of early morning air seeped through the window frame, carrying the breath of a new beginning, one that promised revenge, one that promised the reclamation of my dignity. The very betrayal that had left me shattered had also kindled a spark of resolve too strong to ignore. I would not let their actions define me. Instead, I would use this moment to rebuild, to recover every piece of my shattered identity and forge a path forward with unwavering conviction. This was only the beginning. Irony. The woman who had shared my life for 6 long years was now facing the professional implications of a private betrayal. Witnessing both of them lose all I had once treasured brought a mix of grim satisfaction and profound despair. I had set in motion a chain of circumstances that demolished not just their lives but also the appearance of a beautiful marriage that we had all believed in. I felt a pang of sadness for the years we had spent together, for the memories that had once felt so meaningful. Yet in that same instant, I recognized that holding on to those memories would only serve to tether me to a past filled with misery and failure. I had a choice: to remain a victim of the destruction, or to embrace the fact of change and recreate my identity from the debris. Every morning I awoke to a reality that no longer resembled the fantasies I had previously held. The place we had shared was now a reminder of what had been lost, a vacuum filled with echoes of laughter and whispered secrets that now appeared like distant memories. I strolled through the empty rooms, feeling the weight of every broken promise and every lie that had been uttered. In those moments of solitude, I recognized that the process of losing everything was also, in its own terrible way, a liberation. The loss was total, leaving me with nothing except the raw, unfiltered truth of my own existence. It was during one such morning, as I sat alone with a cup of bitter coffee, that I finally comprehended the full degree of my metamorphosis. The man who had once been defined by devotion and unshakable dedication had been forced to confront a reality where betrayal was a harsh,